everybody, it's your old pal Tuna here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing something kind of special, I think, because I just got my MOSSERY x SIBYLLINE MEYNET gouache art kit in the mail. Ta-da! And we're gonna unbox it together. I actually was gonna hold off till the weekend to unbox and be able to do like a little demo for you guys, but when it came in the mail today, I was so excited and I was like, no, we're just gonna film this part right now and we can deal with the demo when I have time on the weekend. Well, let's give this really fun angle a try, shall we? You'll just hear my disembodied voice as we together unbox what I can only believe is going to be a very exciting box of art supplies. Alright, without further ado, the box is obviously gorgeous. We've got an illustration on the front and a handful of spot illustrations on the back, as well as some copy, but I will save that copy for you guys. If any of you have ordered this box in a later pre-order, you have that to look forward to. I'm going to very carefully try to take this off without ruining it. I do have supplies. I have Sharp Boy number 1 and Sharp Boy number 2 down here. I've never ordered anything from MOSSERY before. I definitely am familiar with their brand. I know a lot of other artists do like collabs with them and stuff like that, so I am excited to see what they have in store for us today. To start things off, we have a little thank you card, which can kind of double as a bookmark. I'm into that. And we'll just get right down to business. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm opening my stocking on Christmas morning. You know those ones that are like Santa sacks rather than just like the regular stockings? Just me? Okay. Camera, do you mind focusing? Yeah, adorable packaging all around. And this feels like the paint to me. All right. This might be a good time for me to step in and let you guys know a little bit about this box if you don't know anything about it at all. So SIBYLLINE MEYNET is an illustrator who works primarily in acrylic gouache, painting beautiful ladies and animals in very appealing color palettes. And she partnered with MOSSERY to put out an art kit that includes many of the materials that she uses. And yeah, that's basically what's going on here. So the first goodie in our goodie bag is the acrylic gouache itself. If you aren't familiar with this material, acrylic gouache is amazing. It's kind of like a combination of acrylic paint and gouache, of course, hence the name. The main difference between regular gouache and acrylic gouache is that once acrylic gouache has dried on the paper, it does not reactivate when wet. And we have 10 beautiful colors in this set. I assume that these are the ones that she uses the most in her work. And conveniently, most of these are not colors that I already have in my own personal set. Of course, we have white and black, but those are the two colors that I probably use the most, so it's always good to have extra on hand. And don't mind me while I multitask my social media posting. All right, let's reach back into the goodie bag and see what we find. I have to say, this is one of the parts I was the most excited about. I really like getting new brushes and trying new brushes. So here we have the 3 brushes that are included in this set. We've got a filbert, we've got a round, we've got a liner, all in the smaller side of brushes, of course. I think personally I'm gonna get the most use out of the filbert and the round. And that's mostly just because the liner brush here is very long and feathery, and I don't really like working with those kinds of longer brush lengths because I feel like I don't have as much control with them, but now that I have one here, we can experiment and see. The other items, as you can see here, we have a mechanical pencil, some refill lead, the classic and ever-present Mars Staedtler eraser, and some washi masking tape, which is always really good to have on hand, so, you know. Bonus goodies, can't complain. Next in our bag, ooh, MOSSERY porcelain palette. This is something I've actually been wanting for a very long time personally, just in general, is a porcelain palette, and isn't that just gorgeous? Porcelain palettes really appeal to me due to their durability and the fact that they're not plastic, which is cool. And like, this is so heavy. This isn't gonna be going anywhere when you're painting, which I appreciate. The last contents of our Santa sack. Okay, so this specifically is what I was the most excited about with this art box. This is a very unique idea, I think. If we could just get the glare to chill out, yeah. This is the Gouache Practice Workbook. Now this thing is pretty cool. Taking a flip through it, the first thing that you find is the Gouache Practice Guidebook. And this just sort of takes you through the materials if you've never used gouache before. It is a little bit of a finicky tool, so it's awesome that this package comes with basically instruction and a how-to guide to mixing paints and using the paints, and then you take what you learn in the guidebook and you can use this little workbook to apply those lessons. It's very unique and very cool. As I said, awesome for beginners, so if you've never used gouache before, definitely consider this one. And our final goodie bag gift, this is the art print pack. So I'll open this up, we'll see what's inside. This is actually such a sweet little pack of things. We have 4 cards that actually come with their own card sleeves, so you could send them as a actual greeting card if you wanted. And I happen to have the full-size prints of both this one and this one, so it'll be kind of cool to compare the print quality of these to the original art prints that I have. 2 sticker sheets here as well, which I actually adore and will not be hesitating to stick on everything. That is Tuna's PSA for the day. Your stickers want to be stuck on something. If you have a collection of stickers and you're like, oh, I don't know where to stick them, I don't know how to part with this, this is the permission that you need to stick those stickers and fulfill their sticky destiny. Lastly, here are the 2 art prints that are, I think these are like A5 or something like that maybe, but they are just gorgeous as well. I believe that this one was available as a full-size print, but I'm not totally sure about this one. But either way, very beautiful, probably going on my wall. I actually adore this unrelated dust jacket as well. Look how cute that is. So this is a MOSSERY, probably watercolor sketchbook that comes with the art kit. There is a custom SIBYLLINE illustration on the front and back that I believe is limited to the sketchbook itself. Again, I haven't had a MOSSERY sketchbook before, so when we do the demo later in the video, I'll give you my impressions of the paper and all that jazz. The one thing that there was an option for was an, what do they call it? Like, not an engraving or a, you know, you could put your name or you could put a word on the front. I'm not really into that jazz, so I just left it plain. That concludes the unboxing though. Next up, I am going to take you through these materials, show you how I would use them, and give you kind of my impressions and feedback on how I feel about the whole thing, you know? I've already prepared my sketch here on the page. It's just a simple drawing of a fashion cat that is something that I enjoy drawing and painting. I used the pencil from the kit, which was a mechanical pencil. Haven't used a mechanical pencil in years, but I mean, it's a mechanical pencil, not a lot to say there. Same with the Stadler eraser, very classic materials, can't go wrong. I started with the yellow paint, as you can see, and something interesting about acrylic gouache, if you've never used it before, there are some differences in the certain colors of paint depending on what color you use. The main difference being some of them are translucent and some of them are a little bit more opaque. The ones that have white integrated tend to be more opaque. The ones that don't have white tend to be more translucent. So I did need to do a couple of layers, but I'm pretty familiar with this material, so that's something that I'm used to, something that I feel comfortable doing. I'm using the Filbert brush, which was a new brush like type for me. I've never used that flat-sided brush before, and it was pretty good. I think I work pretty small, and I do think that if the set came with another brush that was kind of like in between the small size and in between this Filbert, that'd probably round out the collection a little bit, so I resisted the urge to reach into my own collection for the most part to use a more medium-sized brush, because I just wanted to get like the pure, if you only have this kit experience. I ended up using the round brush, which is the fine but not long brush, to fill in some of the tighter details and areas that I couldn't comfortably reach with just the Filbert. So it kind of did the trick. I was overall really happy with the performance of these 2 brushes. My only comment being that I'd probably get an intermediate size one just for, you know, filling that gap. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this is my first time working with a MOSSERY sketchbook, and I love it. The pages, like the paper in the book, are super thick. Which means that you're not going to get any buckling or warping when you're using paint. Not that necessarily you're going to find that when you're using acrylic gouache at a kind of thicker consistency like I tend to, but if I was to use watercolor in this book, I feel really comfortable with that as well. You can see I've used the masking tape here. I did want to try and incorporate that into my demo here. It functioned about as well as I would expect a masking tape to function. I also have the masking tape that came with Heikala's art box, and I think that this is pretty comparable. They're different brands, but they are really not sticky and they'll peel up really easily while holding back the paint. And you can see that I did tape over some of the paint that I had already laid down. I'm not really sure if that's something that you necessarily want to do without letting the paint like super dry, but when I peeled it off, it did leave a little bit of the paint on the sticky side of the tape. I'm sorry for the awkward transition here, but I did want to call it a night before I actually finished the painting. I peeled the tape up before I went to sleep because I'm like kind of afraid of leaving a masking tape on overnight or for any long period of time. I try and get it off as quickly as possible. But everything was fine with the peel and I was happy with yeah, the results. Getting back into it the next day. At this point, it's just on to the finishing touches. At the end of the first day, I wasn't really sure what color I wanted the pants to be, so I did sleep on it and decided to go with a just lighter tint of the blue that's in the background, just to add a little bit of dimension and keep the palette as limited as possible. As you can see, I only used, I think, like 4 or 5 of the colors from the set. And it was at this point that I decided to force myself to use the last brush in the set, which is the liner brush. That is the longer, featherier, pointier brush that I am not a super huge fan of. The thing is that I find that I have really shaky hands when I'm painting, and so by having the longer brush, I have to kind of hold the paint brush in a weird way that doesn't allow me to steady my hand as effectively. And of course, when you're doing something like lining, you do want to be as precise as possible, so you know, there's that to take into consideration. But that's really just a matter of personal preference. I don't have much else to say. The palette is awesome, everything is awesome. If you are new to gouache, if you are old to gouache, if you, well, maybe not if you hate gouache, but if you want to give gouache a try, I think this is an awesome set to give you the entire basics that you will need in order to get started with this material. If you are interested in seeing me work with acrylic gouache more, I do have a few other videos on my channel where I use the same material. Definitely go maybe check them out. But either way, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've ordered this box yourself, I hope it arrives as soon as possible. You can find me online on Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon, and yeah, you can catch more of my work there. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!